Hello, and welcome to Rekindle, Living Without Fear, Loving Without Limits. This is going to be our recorded replay. My name is Maureen McBride Russakoff. Everybody calls me Mo. I'm part of the coaching team here at Coach to the Best. In today's presentation, here's an overview. The main thing that we're going to focus on is that all anyone is trying to do in conversation is get our needs met. I'm going to highlight the journey that Rich and I have taken to become big leap coaches. We'll talk about feelings, needs, and values, and the layers of influence tying needs to values, the differences between survival skills and relationship skills, graduating from Genghis to Gandhi, and why the iceberg makes all these things complicated. We're going to leave our negative boundaries behind, and we're going to walk away with some tools for AMT. It's a picture of my son and his family on the road. I was concerned when I found out they were making a decision to be digital nomads post-pandemic because my daughter-in-law has always been deeply connected to community. And the picture in the center of this slide is 20 digital nomad families intermittently intersecting so that children have companionship and they go to museums and events together. This is brilliant. My daughter-in-law knows what the 85-year-old Harvard study of adult development determined: strong relationships make for happy lives. What makes a person thrive? Not the number of yachts, houses, or cars, bank accounts, etc., but strong relationships. So we're going to talk about some of the barriers to strong relationships. I grew up in one big happy family. It was a litter. There were 8 children. The oldest was 12 when the youngest was born. Irish Catholic, so there were heaping helpings of shame and guilt. And then resources were limited. Then I had a life-threatening childhood illness for a dollop of trauma. And emotional regulation in our household kind of went like this. Stop that crying! If you don't stop that crying, I'll give you something to cry for. So what does a person do when their emotions have been repressed and ignored? Of course, you become a diva in your adult life. If someone tells you I'm a recovering diva, they're wrong. Divas don't recover. And I also took improv. I loved the experience that I was having with improv. It was experiential learning without all the angst. You don't have to lay down on a couch or suck your thumb or embroil yourself in your history. You can make discovery through play and adventure. With Rich and I, we'd both been married before. We're a Match.com success story. And in my profile, I said I was willing to radically improve the quality of one another's lives. And Rich, being a lifelong learner, was happy to take Big Leap coaching at the Hendricks Institute with me. And we did 20 days of on-site training. We're both certified Big Leap coaches. And that third picture is us, the 10th anniversary of our first date, having mocktails over great food at Brannigan's in New Orleans. One of the things that we do in our live workshops is we use persona play to discover some of these adopted personalities that we had to, their survival strategies, personas. And so we use improv when we're doing the live workshops. If you take away nothing else, remember that feelings are tied to needs and needs are tied to values. Feelings are tied to needs, that's with an S. Are you paying attention? And needs are tied to values. And there are layers of influence that tie our needs to values. We just come in this beautiful little baby, but we're born into a family. Our family is part of a tribe, and our tribe is part of Western culture. And the Western cultural dictates are perform, produce, compete, consume. And the only stress response you can get to when you're in that lineup of ideas is fight or flight. When we arrive, we are tabula rasa, brilliant strategy for connection. We're completely and utterly helpless. All we want to do is give and receive love. which is helpful because then we bond deeply and we don't commit homicide when they turn into teenagers. We as children arrived at a party that was already taking place, and somebody threw a hat on our head and started to tell us who we were. We had no information. We were in the mystery, wonder, and innocence of childhood, and we're pretty low status. We couldn't impact the future of the family by expressing our opinion when we're 4 years old. But we are always struggling. Who do I have to be to get my needs met? And we internalize what's going on around us. I look over there, mommy's sad. I made mommy sad. Daddy's angry. I made daddy angry. We internalize that. And we start to begin to adopt these ideas that you can't say things to other people that will make them feel things. And by the time we're adults, we're completely upside down in our emotional relationship with the responsibility for our feelings. And we get into these negative boundaries and we get stuck in the not out loud cloud. We're making up an idea about how other people feel or what they want without getting information from them. And one of the reasons we do that is that we're all sort of icebergs. We think 70,000 thoughts a day. And we speak at about 15 words. We can process thought at 800 words a minute, but we can't speak that quickly. So it's not uncommon that you're having a conversation with another person and your mind drifts. It takes time and trust to start to share our inner life. And how you share what you share destroys or creates connections. Many conversations are unspoken expectations about unwritten rules. And then we throw in these challenges of what it means to be a man. And men are charged with the responsibility of proving their manhood at all times. Be the first, be the fastest, be the biggest, always be right and win. There was a wonderful book, a 1,000-page book, Share Height Report on Male Sexuality. And what I walked away with an understanding is that one of the reasons men always want sex is it's the only time they can access their own vulnerability. It's the only time they feel like they can let their guard down. And women, of course, have their own challenges. Poor Beyonce. She couldn't just be pregnant. She had to be iconically pregnant. She had to maintain her sexy goddess status. Women spend $583 billion on trying to look a certain way for people in their lives, and generally spend an average of 55 minutes getting ready to leave the house. A further complicating factor in our desire to communicate and connect with one another is that until 1963, when birth control became medically reliable, readily available, and socially acceptable, and women came online, the only system we could operate under was the Genghis power system. Moving forward with 8 billion people on the planet, we have to look at what are our options? How can we work together, communicate together, and live together in a way that is sustainable? Power is a zero-sum game. Strength is increased when it's shared. Power relies on the idea of scarcity, secrecy, and aggression. When you're in strength, you have the opportunity to look at abundance and transparency and passion. And just feel the difference for a minute between give and take and give and receive. Power worked while it worked, when it was the only option. We get to graduate now to a more cooperative, co-creative, collaborative way of being in the world. And these are all the things that I could find that prepare people to have successful conversations in our background, in our culture, in our tribe, and in our upbringing. So don't forget these 5 points Nothing, 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 and nothing prepares us. So with our emotions, we have the opportunity to express them, repress them, or everybody's favorite, project them. Remember, we're upside down in our feelings and we think we are causing people or other people are causing us our feelings. First things first, if it's hysterical, if it's disproportionate, it has nothing to do with the present moment. It's drama. Drama has three roles: the victim, who has no agency, the villain, who's looking for someone to blame, and of course, here I come to save the day. Yes, the hero role, one of my favorites. So we've defined drama. What are the genuine feelings that we have? If you look on the internet, you'll see 87 feelings, 15 feelings, 19 feelings. The Hendricks boil it down to 5 basic feelings you can count on: joy, sadness, fear, anger, and sexual feelings. And fortunately, Mother Nature has provided us with a map. When we're feeling anger, we feel it in the jaw, and our face could get flush and we'll get tense and tight. And sadness is in your chest, your throat would clench up, pushing back tears. Fear is a stab to the belly. Sexual feelings, we all know and love them. And then we have joy all over the body. First things first, an uncomfortable feeling is evidence of an unmet need. When you're experiencing discomfort, you have been triggered. And it's on you to find out what the value is behind that need. Needs are tied to values. So moving forward, some of the tools that we can offer from the Rekindle toolkit. First things first, AMT, 3 letters: amnesty, mend, and tend. The amygdala, the size of an almond, holds most people back. The amygdala is designed, it's for healthy fear, to keep you from being eaten by a lion. Check, make sure there are no lions that are chasing you. As long as there are no lions chasing you, come to your acorn, the infinite present. The amygdala is going to give you fearful, limiting signals. You have the choice right there to step into your infinite possibilities in the present. Mend and tend, for example, this baby is milk drunk. Liberate the chemistry, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. When we're in that Gandhi side of the equation, we have the opportunity not to get cortisol and adrenaline, but these feel better chemicals so that more bonding takes place between us and the people around us. So mend and tend is me. What do I want? Think in terms of I feel because I value and my specific request is. And then them, what do they want? And the best way to clear up that mystery is just to ask. We can take 100% responsibility in our life as adults for anything we're feeling. And get used to this concept. People do not cause our feelings, they trigger them. The feelings are already there. So we learn to identify when we're being triggered and what's happening with us and what's the value connected to the uncomfortable feeling. So, for example, I would say, hey, Rich, I'm feeling triggered. And the story I'm hearing in my head is, this takes us completely out of blaming and threatening and accusing or labeling or name calling the other person. We're taking 100% responsibility for what we feel. We're identifying that we've been triggered, and then we're sharing whatever is happening in that iceberg aspect of ourselves. This was very comforting to me, this drift and shift concept. A lot of compassion in this. When the pilot takes off from RDU, he sets the coordinates to get to Los Angeles. Once he gets up in the air, there's wind currents that shift us, drift us off the destination. We need then to reset our coordinates. So we never just take one pass. We know when we engage with another human being, they're not going to stay to it. They're not going to stay to an agreement. We're going to have to recall them. It's human nature. So the conversation at that point can go, hey, we had an agreement. I think we drifted. Can we shift back? If you need to outline the agreement right there, do so. Or I think we shifted into drama. Can we shift back? And see the people around us as allies. We don't have to be on that Genghis side. We don't have to win. We don't always have to be in control. We can be cooperative, co-creative, and collaborative with the people around us. And another big clue, if you change your body will change your mind. The amygdala is ever present, but not really all that bright. And if you turn your hands forward, the amygdala takes that as a signal that there's nothing wrong. I'm safe here. If you're having a confrontational conversation with someone, go for a walk. Stand beside them instead of in a face-to-face that sets you up immediately for conflict. The conflict will dissolve and you'll start to feel and sense that you're more equal and there's more things to share. And this is an indication that you'll hear musicians talk about feel, like how a song feels. Musicians are completely accustomed to dialing into what goes on in their body to put and express the emotions that go into a great song. Everybody does this. As a matter of fact, if you're having a conversation with a person and they're in conflict with what's coming out of their mouth, there's going to be a tell on their face. And the only way to approach that with respect to the other person is to say, it looks like something's happening. Would you like to talk about it? If you pressure people when they're in conflict, they're going to shut down. They're not going to be able to respond to you. Conceptually, we want to make very small, very specific, negotiable requests. I'm feeling like Italian food is something you might say to your partner. A more complete conversation might be, I saw a review for an Italian restaurant. Are you able to join me at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night? That's very, very different than I feel like Italian. We get to take more responsibility when we're having conversations with other people. Small, specific, negotiable requests will lead you to success and away from drama and conflict. And of course, always gratitude. If you find yourself in conflict with another person, start to think, even out loud, about 3 things that you really appreciate and respect about the other person. I do know a couple that had a gratitude practice and they had a ritual. And for 5 minutes a day before they went to bed, they shared 3 things that they were grateful about. Another nice habit to get into is reading together out loud and passing the reading back and forth. It's a great way to connect with your partner. Thank you for joining us today and showing up curious with an open mind. That's our attitude that helps us to grow as we move through the world, connecting, collaborating, and co-creating with the people around us. This is just a bonus. If you want to have a great Valentine's Day with your partner, watch the HBO special, very short, 25, 30-minute segments. There are 5 of them. And there's a lot of really lovely information in this series by Brené Brown. And last but not least, join us for a company, family, or forum luxury retreat in the Baja. Just reach out through our website. And we are available for virtual and on-site Kindle workshops, and for your staff and your leadership team and leadership team coaching. And coming soon, we're going to have the Coach to the Best Academy. A membership to the Coach to the Best Academy will always and forever be free. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon in the real world.